This new SBA rule changed the map for immigrant business owners. An American citizen and a green card holder can run the exact same business, but only one of them now can qualify for an SBA loan. And that massive change almost nobody saw coming. And some have. But before we get into the rules, let's make sure we're speaking the same language. So a legal permanent residence or an LPR is someone who has a green card, lives in the United States legally, works legally, pays US taxes, often owns homes, companies, and employs people. In everyday life, they function almost the same as US citizens, but under SBA new rules, they are now treated completely differently. Now, why this matters? So think of the SBA loans like a jet fuel for small business growth, lower interest rates, typically longer repayment terms, government guarantees, and for decades, green card holders had access to that jet fuel, and now the fuel line has just been cut off. And here's the hidden reason most people miss. There's a lesser known reason this is such a big deal. And most small business owners don't realize that ownership rules are just as powerful as credit rules. You can have perfect credit, strong cash flow, great tax returns, a profitable business, and still be denied purely because of who is on the ownership paperwork. And that's exactly what has changed. Now, I'm going to go over the timeline step by step, and let's walk through it like chapters in a book. So, chapter one will be the old world. We'll call that pre to 2025. So for years, rule was simple. A business needed to be at least 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. And this meant that if you were a green card holder, you were treated the same as U.S. citizens for SBA loan purposes or SBA purposes in general. And let's go now to chapter two. This is the first big shift, and this occurred mid 2025, so around June 2025. Then the SBA rewrote its playbook. The requirement jumped from 51% to 100% ownership. And now that rule became 100% of direct and indirect owners must be U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, or legal permanent residents. And this was already a huge tightening, and it meant no foreign silent partners, no overseas minority owners, but green card holders were still okay. Now, chapter three. This is the December Compromise, basically reverting back a little bit. So in December 2025, the SBA softened a little. They issue a notice that said up to 5% of a business could be owned by non-US citizens. So the rule became 95% US citizens or LPRs up to 5% exception. So just like a tiny crack in the door. Now, chapter four, this was the new reality. So in February of 2026. This is when the bombshell came out. So in February 2026, the SBA released a new policy effective March 1st, 2026. And it did two major things at once. It removed that 5% exception completely that I just talked about. And then number two, it declared legal permanent residents ineligible. So the new rule now says that 100% owners must be U.S. citizens or U.S. nationals. That's it. No LPRs, no green card holders, no exceptions. What does this mean in real life? So imagine a small construction company founded by an immigrant entrepreneur employs 20 people, pays US taxes, has great financials. Under the old rules, eligible. Under the new rules, instantly disqualified. Same business, same taxes, same jobs, different passport status. So this affects business purchases, buyer buy-ins, franchise financing, expansion loans, equipment financing through SBA programs, and it can blow up deals already in process. And and what do business owners need to know? If you are a green card holder or in partnership with one, planning to bring on investors, think about or just thinking about SBA funding, you must review your ownership structure immediately because the rules change like a traffic light, flipping from green to red overnight. So if you're unsure how this impacts your company, don't guess. Get clarity before you apply because SBA eligibility is no longer just about the numbers. It's about citizenship. So SBA loans don't just get harder to qualify for financially, they just got harder to qualify legally.